Greg Sher, the man who needs no introduction, I would say.
Okay.
Industry aficionado, technically managing director at NFM Lending.
True.
But honestly, I feel like man of the industry at this point is really what I think I'm excited about for the podcast, for this interview, but also for the insights that you're seeing in the space. We're live right now at MBA Secondary. How is the energy, things that have stood out to you so far?
I think people are excited about the new administration change, believe it or not. Bill Pulte seems like he's going to be very collaborative. And I think we're getting some clarity on some issues. And it's an exciting time to be in the business. I know a lot of people feel like the headwinds are strong and insurmountable, but I just want to remind everybody that every time we've been in one of these periods, it has been the precursor to something phenomenal on the other side, and this will be no different. So the question is, when is that going to occur? Like when are rates going to go down to that Logan area of 6% that he says is going to completely change the game? He talked about that at the economic summit that HousingWire held, and but I don't think it needs to go that low. I think we saw that when rates bumped down 30 basis points a couple of months ago, there was a lot of activity just in a 24 to 36 hour period. We have a lot of inventory on the market now, and that keeps growing. I think the litmus test for the market, if rates stay high, we could be in for some kind of a pretty significant correction. If rates do come down 50 basis points or so, I think that could spur activity and keep home prices where they are. But the forecast is not unbelievable for housing prices. I mean, it's 20% 3 years ago, 4% last year. MBA is saying 2% this year. And so we're heading towards flat in 2026. So the trajectory isn't great. What could turn that around again is lower rates.
You're in a lot of these conversations too, with whether that's administration, people are also mainly executives in this space. What are they thinking? How are they approaching it? What you just kind of laid out has a couple paths to it. Okay, we do go down to the sixes, or we don't. What happens in the industry? How are you seeing people hopefully ensure that they either take advantage of that kind of bottom this time? How are you prepped? What are you doing in order for the market to shift that way? Or it doesn't happen. And so what is the impact there if the industry, whether that's the impact technology could have, the impact of like looking at your bottom line, what are the shifts you have to make? So given those routes, how are industry leaders in the conversations you're seeing preparing for that?
It's a great question. So I do have an opinion on this. So thank you for asking. I mean, Rocket it's a major disruptor at this moment, and they've got massive head start on everybody else, and they've been doing it for a long time, and the acquisitions are really impressive, and they've got Varun and a great leadership team. So look, none of us are going to catch up to Rocket right now, okay? I mean, they're literally lapping the field every single day, and that's okay. What IMBs and other smaller mortgage companies need to be doing, and I believe most of them are at this time, is just focusing on stuff that they can control. Cost to produce, outsourcing, making sure their headcount is where it needs to be, integrating AI where they can to smooth out the friction in the process, and again, lower the cost to produce. And what I think is going to happen is you're going to have the haves and the have-nots. So you're going to have the companies that are focusing on those things, that are really have their eye on the ball, that are doing enough to create this bridge between where they are now and where Rocket is. But the companies that don't, and believe it or not, there's still many companies out there that don't have any AI. Wow. I mean, I would say 1 out of every 2 companies are not they have no use case for AI at all. I don't know if they're hoping that it goes away. I don't know what their hope is. But it's not going away. And so what I think is going to happen is the companies that are doing the things that I just mentioned will stay in the game, and then the third-party vendors are going to start to catch up with Rocket. And at that point, they're going to give the companies that are still around the tools to close the gap. And that's my opinion on that topic. And I think that most companies that are still around right now are going to be in it for the longer haul. But make no mistake, everyone's looking at the economics right now of their own institutions. And I think there are a lot of legacy owners in our space that it's gut check time right now. Like everybody thought it would be better 2-3 years ago. And here we are still in this malaise, not sure how much longer it's going to last. So, I mean, I know quite a few CEOs that have had conversations with other CEOs about potentially merging. And nevertheless, it's an interesting time. And I know you have the AI Summit coming up shortly, and I'm really looking forward to that. Last year was phenomenal, but just think about all the strides that have been made since then. What's the date of that again? I got to book my flight.
August 12th.
Let's
Don't
go.
miss it. Right, in the thick of school starting, you want to get your education also on AI. So we're all going to be learning together at that time, I would say. And you just naturally, headed that direction, I think is great. But you look at, to your point, we had Rocket at the gathering last year, and they revealed, their new technology on stage about the power of AI, and it's only continued to grow. They've had acquisitions, they have growth. That team is kind of drilling in, and conversations that you and I have had now on like, okay, you have Rocket, you have these big players. How do you compete with that? These big players are, getting big. What are the other people? What does the future person look like? What does the future LO look like? How do you stay strategically competitive?
I think there's one answer to that. You get to the consumer faster, quicker, before anybody else. And that right there is the holy grail. So whoever masters that is going to be in the driver's seat for the next 5 years and beyond. And that's largely what Rocket is trying to do. The real question is, how important will being ingrained in the communities continue to be, from city to city and town to town? How important will it be to know where the coffee shop is and where the best schools are and the playgrounds and things like that? To me, I'd like to think I'm old school, that's going to remain really important. I don't think Rocket's making that bet necessarily. I think they think, and they may be right, that if they could just deliver a streamlined, dependable process that touches every facet of your finances, that will be enough to have people maybe not put so much importance in whoever's selling them the loan being right there in the community. And they could be right. To your question on how things are going to change, I'm seeing some incredible modeling right now around AI voice bots. And it's moving very, very fast. And so I've heard several real examples of consumers having conversations with chatbots and the bot overcoming objections. Like literally, I heard one the other day where the consumer's like, yeah, I'm good. And then this voice like worked them through, like, oh, tell me why you're feeling that way. And so by the end of the conversation, the consumer's like, you know what, I'll take the call. And they went to a live transfer to a loan officer. And we're just in the infancy right now. We're literally in the top of the first inning, nobody out. And it's moving at such light speed. There's a lot of money pouring into the space right now. So I just can't wait for the AI Summit. I'm so excited about it. I'll definitely be there for sure. Can I just say something about HousingWire?
Yeah, I'll receive it.
Do you mind?
No, please continue. Don't.
What I love most about what you guys are doing is that you're helping us identify the blueprint for all of these answers. There's never been anyone in the space, and I've been in it 27, 28 years, who has worked so feverishly hard to help everybody find the path and find the way. And just the amount of intellect and knowledge and experience that you guys bring to the table at every one of these conferences, it's just mind-blowing to me. And I really appreciate it. I just want to thank all of you for all that you do, because we get a lot of our answers in the work that you're doing. And that's an incredible partnership.
Thanks for that. Yeah. It's really that collaborative. It's between our partners, our attendees, our team, all of that coming together to create that science magic together.
And you talk about partners. Let's talk about vendors for a second, because there's this idea that all vendors, and it's depending on where you are, like some vendors are in your face constantly, like, oh, buy this, but so respectful at your events and collaborative, and just the relationships, and we need them. Like the third party, I just told you.
Oh my gosh!
I just told you how I see this thing unfolding. Like I am relying on the third party vendors to come in and close that gap between where we are and where Rocket is. So, to me, third party vendors are the unsung heroes of our industry.
And creating the needs that you just said. I think they're having these conversations with people like you, other leaders, and saying, where is the need? Where can we step in to help you be competitive and actually challenge this? You have this notion in the industry right now that there's technology, but it's still just as expensive as ever to get a mortgage. But that narrative is going to get questioned. And so how do we take that? How do we drive forward and expect our technology to not always be like that? Actually make a difference. Help us with this lead funnel. Help us with carrying the loan to the right person who has an active borrower. And by the time it gets to, it sounds like the loan officer, they're ready, or they're more interested.
They are. I think mortgage companies need to do a better job of keeping an eye on the tech bloat.
Yeah.
Like all of our tech stacks are only utilized by 10% or so.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's so much excess, and then now there's so much overlapping too.
Yeah.
I mean, we literally have year-long contracts, multi-year contracts with vendors that do the same thing. Like everyone's got market intelligence right now, and so as we talk about the idea of survival and keeping an eye on the cost to produce, it's really important that mortgage companies pay very close attention to their tech stacks, and a lot of that has to do with tightening up the vendor management. I can't tell you how many times our vendor management, or I'm not putting our vendor management department down, but look, we're in a very busy business. Like everybody's focused on just making sure that we can survive, right? So it's hard to keep your eye on every single ball. Really got to tighten up the governors on what kind of contracts come in. Like loan officers feel like they need to have, I've got to have this, sign this. And so it's very important to have multi-layers to that approval process so that you don't end up looking up and having 5 systems that do, even 2 systems that do the same thing is a burden. And so that is an area where the industry could do a better job. NFM, my company, needs to do a better job, and we are largely, but the problem is all of these contracts have different termination dates, right? So if you're locked up into something where you've got another 24 months and you see a better product hit the market, you're stuck.
Yeah.
You can't do anything.
Yeah.
So you really have to make sure you're doing the homework really diligently up front to make sure this is a partner that not only has something that I need right now, but that has a leadership team that's going to continue to innovate.
Yeah. Yeah. You touched on the themes that have all of us very excited to bring these conversations to the AI Summit, August 12th. I'll repeat it here. It's important to say it again. And it's those themes of like onboarding, the themes of the tech stack, the themes of how do you make sure you're getting the ROI around it, but also where are the points that things are getting interesting? Like where's the technology headed? A lot of the AI Summit in 2024 focused on what is AI. Here, let's lay the foundation, let's lay the framework, whereas this year we're drilling down a little bit more into here are the use cases that we're seeing, here are how it's applying in all those themes. What else, before kind of we wrap up, Greg, would you share and touch on that people could stay tuned for, look forward to, whether it's on the technology space, seeing you at the gathering coming up?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. As far as AI is concerned, there's a company that was first to market. This is a great example. I'm not going to mention any names, but there was a company that hit the market a year and a half, 2 years ago that got a lot of traction, a lot of signups because they were the first in. Well, this particular software doesn't do anything to move the needle for sales. And so it's basically just a place where you dump and store all of your company documents where people, and there's a use case for it. It's great. So your HR manuals, your guidelines, payroll dates, sometimes a scenario desk, like all these things are here. The winners and losers will be, to me, determined by what systems can generate sales, right? And so it's great to have something that houses all your documents. Maybe that saves you a little bit of time knowing it's all in one place. To me, that's just what the intranet is. Like we have an intranet, most companies do, right? I mean, that's what that is. We've just moved it all somewhere else. Yeah. What we've done at NFM is we have a partner called Inside.ai, INSYDE.ai. And what that does is it marries the LOS to the CRM and brings it into this ecosystem so that loan officers who largely don't use any technology that we have, they depend on other people or they're never in it, they can sit in one place at one dashboard, pull loan data in, and then create actionable things on the marketing side by tapping into the CRM. And again, they don't ever have to leave the space. And so things like that can generate tangible sales and ring the register, that's really, really crucial. To get back to the original question that you asked about what are companies doing to survive? As companies think about AI, I would not sign up with anybody that is not generating sales for you and your company. Because there's enough expense, and we have enough expenses. What can AI do to not only lower cost to produce, but bring in sales, especially on the retention side, which is what I just described to you. And we're doing that. Like we had a day where you might remember like a month ago, rates went down pretty substantially for about a 24, 48 hour period. We had one of our branches, as a result of this AI tool that marries the CRM and the LOS, sent out a bunch of alerts with quotes to all of their past clients. locked, I think, 137 loans
Wow.
in a 24-hour period, over 30 million in volume generated from this
Imagine.
AI tool. That's powerful.
That's so powerful. And like look back, you don't have to look back many years to know that that's so far above from where they've come.
Yeah, that's just a little glimpse though.
Yeah.
AI is it's going to be so revolutionary, and everyone needs to open up their eyes and understand it's not going anywhere.
No, no.
It's here to stay.
Those are great call-outs. What I appreciate from all of this is it's taking this AI word and pulling it back down to tangible takeaways that you can deliver action on. Everything you just said, if you're taking notes, sitting here thinking, okay, I see those use cases. This is how I want to take. And those are the same type of strategies, thinking framework that we use for building our agendas.
Okay.
Whether the AI Summit, the gathering, people sitting here can say, okay, I see how Greg's approaching this market. He's talking high level, but then drilling it down. We want people to leave our events with that same type of thing, which is why we appreciate you having on the stage, Greg. So I thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Always good. Our relationship goes back to, I know the days you've launched forward thinking when it comes to social media to now see how you're approaching AI.
Yeah.
So thank you for the conversation.
It's a pleasure. I can't wait to see you in a few days at the gathering.
Yeah.
I'll be on stage with Jennifer Beeston, who's just a fabulous producer, who has over 100,000 followers on YouTube and generates 200 to 300 million a year in loan volume, all through her YouTube channel.
Which is another great example. Great example of how is someone doing this consumer direct? How are they reaching the consumer? What are they doing with that consumer?
For sure.
And what does that system look like going forward?
We did it.
So thanks, Greg.
Thanks for the invite. It's amazing what can happen at a bar. Thank you so much.